Liriodendron tulipifera, the tulip tree. In California, this tree is planted in a number of complexes and used as city street trees. And at this time of year, it's losing its leaves. Interestingly, that one over there is a little bit late. I wonder why that tree is later than the rest. I don't know. The trees do get quite large. Up. Good job. These tulip trees are highly susceptible to aphids and scale. And unfortunately, they become a big, sticky mess. So a lot of people are trying to put in these systemic injections in the bases of the trees. And I do question whether or not the injections, the systemic injections, are adding to the problems. If you look around, a lot of them appear to be infected. Not all of them. No, a little bit, yeah. Pretty much most of them. And because the problem is such a nuisance, a lot of people will do anything to cut down on the dripping sap. So they'll pay somebody to put these things in the tree annually. So my question is, over time, do all of these infection areas equate to dieback around that injection? And do the accumulated numbers of these injections equate to loss of vitality of the cambium layer? I don't know, but what I see doesn't look too good. This one looks particularly bad. I personally don't use any pesticides. A long time ago, I ventured into that arena, and I did get, we got our silver card and we did some pest control. But the more I look at the trees, the more I realize that, toxins applied by us don't always have the desired effect or the long-term effect. So I realize that there are many toxins out there that can kill all the good insects as well as the bad insects. Now, the Liriodendron tree is a tree that is used for lumber. And in the lumber industry, if you go down to a lumber yard to buy tulip tree, what you're buying is what they call poplar, which is something I've never quite understood, because it's not a poplar, it's a Liriodendron. That's what they sell when you call in for lumber. You get poplar. It's kind of a secondary wood. They use it for like drawers and the bottoms of drawers and the backs of cabinetry. And it's not a particularly beautiful wood, with one exception. Sometimes you'll get some black staining in a piece of wood that will create some, just amazing figure. I think it's truly an underused aspect of this tree that really should be looked into more. I've seen some bowl turners utilize beautiful pieces of poplar. There you go. Liriodendron tulip wood. So almost all the videos that I show are when I'm not up in the tree. You know, sometimes I'll get the camera out if I'm in a bucket, but in all honesty, I'm usually too busy concentrating. But when I'm working ground and Jorge's up in the tree or Kaylin's up in the tree, that's when I'll shoot some video of their work. Jorge is really a master with the pole saw. He likes putting the extension on there, and does quite a bit with it. We have a complex full of these tulip trees, and Lucy did the bid on this. So she selected some of the ones that have the worst amount of deadwood in them. So we're not doing every single tulip tree. We're kind of skipping around and looking at the addresses to try to figure out which ones she feels are most important. So it's currently about 11 o'clock and we're working on tree number 2, which is getting close to be done. I think we've got about another half hour or so on this tree. Then we'll chip and then we'll call it lunchtime and move on to another tulip tree. We're into the rainy weather and I just went out and bought myself a new jacket. Bought one for Jorge as well. It's an Arborist wax jacket. I don't have a whole lot of experience with a wax jacket, but I had a friend from England who used to have one. It was an older one, and he absolutely loved it for working in rainy weather. So this is the first day that I've really had it. I say, bring on the rain. Let's see how it works. We haven't chipped yet. This is all the brush that we've taken out of the 2 trees. There's still a little bit of raking up and cleaning up, but that gives you about an idea of how much we took out of there, and they still look pretty full and pretty good. We didn't do any topping. I didn't do any outside shaping. I got rid of some of the congestion, some of the low-hanging branches, and I think they look okay. So I say okay because these trees have a lot of problems. They have a lot of decay pockets. They've got a lot of old wounds. There's a lot of rips and tears. There's squirrel damage. There are so many issues with these trees that it's hard for me to say that they're looking pretty good. But you know, for what we have to work with, that's about as good as it's going to get. Yeah, take it. It just looks out of place. You know, sometimes the decisions that we make have a lot to do with appearance as well as what's right for the tree. That becomes the source of a lot of arguments sometimes. People say, oh, don't take out all that inside growth. But I don't know, I think it looks way better to get rid of some of those inside water sprouts, so we do it. Good job, Jorge. Sometimes figuring out which trees we got to trim in the forest of trees is hard to do. This one right here, we did this one yesterday, and this one has some considerable dieback. Some of these trees are in the last stages, but these are all part of a homeowner association. They're not ready to lose their trees. There's another bit of dieback there. Somebody left that as a, actually it was cut off and it's reseeding. So when I look at some of these old stubs, that one there doesn't look like it was a bad cut. Looks like it retained the branch bark collar, but the wood decays quite rapidly on these tulip trees. There's some really bad decay, and this up here, and it makes me wonder, if it was cut off up here originally, did all of this active tissue recede and decline and die back, and it's trying to save itself? The same with this one up here. Was that all active tissue that has declined and worked its way down? So, was this a proper cut as dictated by Shigo that just is not working because of a species intolerance?